Hello, my name is David, and I'm a principal engineer with Dell, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to add a cumulative update to an offline Windows image. You might want to do this to keep a deployment image up to date, but there are other uses for it too, and I'll demonstrate one of those now. This virtual machine is a domain controller, but I've run the Uninstall-WindowsFeature PowerShell command with the -remove switch to remove the AD consoles and DNS server console as well. This might be done on a server in order to conserve disk space. Unfortunately, if you change your mind later and try to re-add those features, you may run into problems, as I'll demonstrate. Some of the PowerShell commands I'll be running in this video take a long time to complete, so you may notice some time skips. I promise you the only thing you're missing is a few long progress bars, but do keep in mind that this procedure takes longer than is demonstrated here. As you can see, I'm trying to add the ADDS tools feature, which includes the Active Directory consoles, and at this point it's prompting me to specify an alternate source path. If I ignore that and just say install, it runs for a little while, but then gives me an error that says the source files could not be found. And that's because the command I use to remove those tools removes the required binaries from the Windows side-by-side folder. So what happens if I try again and I use my OS install media as a source path? I'll speed this up a little bit. When I'm prompted to specify an alternate source path, I'll click that link, and my install media is mounted as the D drive. Here it is in File Explorer, and what I need is the install.wim file inside the sources folder. There it is. So I'll note the path here, and I have to specify wim as a prefix, then colon, and then the path. And then I have to use an index number as well, and we'll talk about that index number in a bit. So click OK to accept that, and then click Install. And it goes a little farther this time, but then I get the same error. And this is because the operating system has been updated since it's been installed, and the files that are in the install.wim image are no longer up to date. The solution to this is to add the current cumulative update to that offline Windows installation image, and I'll show you how to do that now. First thing I need to do is determine what the latest cumulative update installed on the OS is. And in order to do that, of course, I'll check Windows Update, and I'll click View Update History. But that doesn't always give the whole story, but I'll click Uninstall Updates, and that should show all of the updates that are currently installed on the server. Now, I happen to know that that latest update there, KB5055169, is a .NET Framework update. We're not concerned with that, so I'll ignore that one. The latest cumulative update at this time is KB5058385, the second one in the list. Now I need to download the installer for that update from the Microsoft Update Catalog. So I'll launch a browser and head to the Update Catalog. And as soon as the site comes up, I'll type KB5058385 into the search bar. I'm presented with two different versions of the update. Since this is Windows Server 2022, I need to download version 21H2. So I'll click the download button there, and then click the .msu file that comes up in the download window, and that'll begin the download. And once the download is finished, I'll browse to the file in the Downloads folder, and I'll move it out of there into the Update folder that I've created in the root of the C drive. You can see here I've also created folders named Image and Mount. Those will come in handy later. So now I need to go to the install media and copy that install.wim file from the D drive into that image folder. And when that's done, I need to launch PowerShell, and we'll run get-windows image, use the image path switch to specify the path to the file that I've just copied in there, C \image \install.wim. And this lists all of the images that are contained within that image file. This is an evaluation image downloaded from Microsoft, so it contains 4 images for Windows Server 2022 Standard and Data Center with and without the desktop experience. If you need to find out what version of the operating system is running on the server, you can use the winver command. You see there in the second paragraph, it says the Windows Server 2022 Standard Operating System. That confirms which one we've got. And since we have a GUI, we will need to use index number 2, Windows Server 2022 Standard with the desktop experience. So to mount this image, we use mount-Windows image in PowerShell. And we will specify the path to the mount directory first. That's C/mount. And then use the image path switch to specify the image file. And then we need to use the index switch to specify index number 2. Now that the image is mounted, it's time to add the update to it. And for that, we'll use the add-windows package PowerShell command. And for the package path switch, we'll need to specify the path to the .msu file. I know I pasted that into the update folder, but that file name is rather long and difficult to remember, so it might be easier to copy and paste it from File Explorer. And don't forget the .msu extension. And finally, we use the path switch to specify the path to the mounted image, C:\mount. And now I'll demonstrate an error that may occur during this process. As you can see, we didn't get too far into adding the package before we got error 800F0823. This error indicates that another update must be added to the image before this update. Commonly, that's because of a servicing stack dependency, and that is the case here. Unfortunately, the error gives us no information about what update is required, but if we look at the Microsoft KB article for the update in question, we should be able to determine exactly what is needed. So we'll search for KB 5058385, browse to the article, and scroll down to the section titled How to Get This Update. And here we see a section titled Prerequisite for Offline OS Image Servicing, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. And it indicates that we need update KB 5030216 added to the image before we can add this one. And it even calls out the specific error that we're seeing. Since I knew this was going to happen, I've already downloaded update 5030216, so I'll just move it into the update folder. And then I'll rerun the add-windows package command using the path to KB 5030216 and keeping everything else the same. As you can see, the package is added this time without any errors. Now we need to add our original update, KB 5058385, but I've run into problems trying to add more than one package in a session. So first I'm going to dismount the image and save it. For that I'll use the dismount-Windows image command, provide the path to the mounted image, and use the save switch to indicate that changes should be saved. And then I'll mount it again, add the second update, and then save it once again. Since you've already seen all of those steps, I'll speed things up quite a bit here. Now that both updates have been added to the image, I need to confirm whether my initial task will succeed. So I'll once again try to add the ADDS tools, and I'll throw in the DNS tools for good measure. As before, I'll specify an alternate source path. This time it will be to the install.wim file in the C:\image directory. And once again, I'll need to use index 2. Installation succeeded. So now let's confirm that I can launch an AD console. I'll launch AD users and computers. And there it is. That confirms that adding those updates to the image allowed it to be used as an installation source. Once again, my name is David. I'm a principal engineer at Dell, and thank you for watching.